Hey, great to have you here. What we're going to talk about today is owning your environment, going from victim, feeling sorry for yourself, woe is me, my life sucks, everything's screwed up, to victory. And that is a powerful place to be. Because when I say owning your environment, what that means is understanding that the circumstances that you're in have an effect on who and how you show up if you allow them. And this is the great thing. So, not everything can have a negative effect on you. You can be intentional in what you do by creating environments that put you in the right frame of mind. So, let's talk about this a little bit more. Let's start off with step one. You got to understand who you are in the environment and whether or not making a true choice. And I don't, by the way, I don't care whether we're talking about uh, a nice quiet room, a noisy room, a cold environment, a warm environment. You can still choose whether or not that environment itself has a physical effect on your mental capacity, how you think, what you think about. So when you decide that, because you get to choose, when you make that choice and have that understanding of, hey, I'm not going to allow this to affect me. In other words, yes, it's cold outside. Yes, I have some coats and things like that to keep me warm, but it's still going to be cold, and I am going to stay the course. I am not going to allow it to have an effect on what I do and how I do things. I'll give you an example story from when I was coaching rugby. You see, I had a boy, one of my top athletes on the team, who was really good, but this day, this game, he was affected by the weather. You see, the morning started off, it was a spring morning in Colorado. The morning started off, this kind of beautiful day, a little bit of gray, but then by about lunchtime or so, maybe a little bit before, the wind started picking up. And we had a 2 o'clock kickoff that day. So it's about lunchtime, the wind started picking up, and all of a sudden the temperature started dropping. And by the time it was time for kickoff, it was snowing. And the snow was blowing sideways. The temperature had gone from about 50 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning to 25 degrees at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And this young man let it get in his head. He started to struggle. He couldn't stay focused. He almost looked hypothermic. There was 14 other players on his team out there doing just as they had always done, and 15 on the other team. I had to, at that point, pull him off the field and sub him out very early in the match. A young man that would normally play the entire 60 minutes of the game, pull him off and put somebody else in because he had allowed the effect of the weather to get into his head. Yes, everybody else was cold. I was cold as a coach standing on the sideline. The other players that were out there, they recognized it was cold, but they didn't allow that circumstance to have an effect on how they were playing the match. He, however, did. And after about 15 minutes on the sideline, in blankets, warming up, mom coming over and checking on him, making sure he was okay, he all of a sudden woke back up and realized what he had done. Realized that even though we had trained many times and many days in the similar environment, that day, that afternoon, he allowed the circumstances of that environment to change his mind, to change his mindset to where he would have no ability to play. Now, in that same fashion, we can train ourselves to create circumstances to put us in the right frame of mind. You can also, once you start to understand how to use this as an advantage, you can also prevent yourself from getting into that trouble. And what I mean is, if you know there's an environment that you are going into, let's say highway traffic, that you're about to step into, I know that that environment can make me mad, can piss me off. Well, since I know that, and I know that I'm about to step into that environment, I can make the choice as I step into that environment. Do I want to be pissed off? Do I want to have that issue, that inability to think clearly when I step into that environment? Or do I want to just step into it and let the effects from memory and other times I've been in that environment to set me up? So back to using it to your advantage. One of the things we can do is create an environment that sets us up to put us in the right frame of mind, a creative frame of mind, a meditative frame of mind. A lot of people that I know that do serious meditation have a space. They have a meditation pillow. They have a meditation chair. And whatever room or thing area that may be in, they set the mood. When I meditate, I do a very similar thing. I sit at my desk. I put my phone, which I use the Calm app, on my desk. I have the lights down low. So, or sometimes this time of year, it's actually kind of dark in my office, just one little light on. And I close the door and it's quiet and I hit the button and my Calm app plays some background noise for me. And that puts me in the frame of mind to meditate. I do the same thing. You can do the same thing. What is your creative space? Understanding your creative space. What does that look like? Is it the dining room? Is it a workspace like a WeWork or something like that? Or is it out in the environment, out in the woods, where you're out and you're in that open space and it allows your mind to think and see things differently? All these things, as you become more aware of what circumstances have an effect on you, how you allow them, because it's not always bad. Don't get me wrong on this. When I said going from victim to victory and understanding your circumstances, it is understanding how they affect you and even using them to your advantage. That's the critical aspect here. The more I understand, the better I get at doing what I do and understanding the environment. Guess what I get to do? I can change how I show up. I can change how it affects me. I can change and make it to my advantage. I can decide that, hey, you know what? I want to get pissed off, so I'm going to go out on I-25 during rush hour and get frustrated with the way with people driving dangerous and being angry and things like that, because for whatever reason I want to be mad. I can do that because I'm in control. I'm in control of how things outside of my control have an effect on me. You know, I've said many times in other talks that nothing makes you happy and nothing makes you sad until you decide it makes you happy and you decide it makes you sad. And what I'm getting at here is the more aware you are of the things that you could control and the things that you cannot control, the more in control you will be of who you are and how you show up. Circumstances, environments are just things that are there. And they don't have an effect on us unless we allow them to have an effect on us. And we can use these circumstances to our advantage. You see, everything in the world and the universe is happening, and we're a part of it. And how we allow those things in the universe to occur to us, to be part of us, to allow them to see us, to allow them to have an effect on us, that's our choice. And circumstances are just a factor of life. whether it's outside in the snow and the cold, inside by the fire, nice quiet room with some music playing to be creative, or maybe you're like a good friend of ours, Chris Roush, and it's not quiet jazz music or peaceful guitar or anything like that. You know what it is? It's heavy metal. It's get some, right? And I do the same thing. Speaking of which, the music can help set that tone, part of those circumstances, part of that environment. I use that when I'm working out. I don't listen to easy jazz when I'm working out. I don't even listen to country. I'm listening to heavy metal to get my mind focused. And that's how I set the tone. I set the circumstances because I understand the circumstances and how they have an effect on me. So I choose these circumstances. In these circumstances, I create the environment to allow me to do and accomplish what I want to accomplish. One more thing on this. If you don't like the circumstances, the environment that you're in, then change it. If you can't change it, then do something to figure out, make it different. Because that is changing. One of the things, if you are struggling, frustrated, having a hard time coming to a solution or solving a problem in this one space, in this environment, let's say it's your office, then step out of your office. You'd be amazed at what a change in environment can do to your mind, whether you're consciously aware of it or subconsciously not aware of it. But doing those sort of things, that change of environment will help change the way your mind is thinking and flowing. And that is what you can do with circumstances. That is how you can take these circumstances and own your environment. These things that you think, the weather, all these things that you think are not changing, that you cannot control, you're right, but you can control how they affect you. And that is when we talk about owning your environment and shifting from woe is me, this sucks, this chair's hard, it's cold, it's hot, it stinks, whatever those things are. That's how you can change that environment to you and allow it to have a different effect because you get to choose how you show up, which means you get to choose what effects that different things in the universe have on you. So, this is just one in a series of lessons that we wanted to share with you as part of our Green Beret Leadership Program. We'll see you on the next one.